Okay, where are my women that are over 40? Because I have like a massively important message for you. And if you haven't heard this message, this is the one that's going to change your life, I promise. So in this video, we're going to go through what women over 40 need to know specifically about the greatest health habit you can implement today to finally get a result with all the other health habits you're doing. Okay, you ready? Check this out. Let's dive in. First, here's what I want all of my 40-year-old women and beyond to think about. Life changes at 40. And I don't mean this like, oh, menopause is coming in, it's going to be so turbulent. I mean your lifestyle tools. Everything you did in your teens, your 20s, and your 30s at 40, I want you to start thinking there's a moment in where we draw a line in the sand and we say we have to take all of our lifestyle tools and do them differently. And they all have to be wrapped around this one concept that I'm going to share with you. So why 40? What happens at 40? So I've mentioned this on several videos, but if you're new to my station, welcome. And I just want to help you see that at 35, your hormonal game changes. At 35, progesterone starts to go down, and progesterone is the hormone that calms us. By the time we hit 40, now we have estrogen going crazy. She's up, she's down, she's up, she's down, which is why any 40-year-old woman will tell you, like, one day you're feeling amazing, next day you're like, who am I? I don't understand my body, I don't understand my brain. Put in the comments if that's you. So what is happening at that 40-year-old mark is that all of a sudden your ovaries are going into retirement. Your brain is sensing less neurochemical stimulation to actually release an egg. There's a whole mechanism behind this, but just know at 40, ovaries are going in retirement. Some of you who still want to have kids, this doesn't mean you can't have kids. It just means that this system, this hormonal system, is winding down. And there are many parts to your body that make hormones. The ovaries aren't the end-all, be-all. Ovaries make hormones. Some of the peripheral tissues make hormones. Adipose tissue, your fat, makes hormones. And another key organ makes hormones, and that's your adrenal glands. So at 40, there is this handoff, this hormonal handoff that happens where the ovaries start to slow down and all the other organs have to kick in and start to be the primary organs that produce your sex hormones. And the major organ that the handoff happens to is your adrenal glands. So think of it like this. Your ovaries are like, hey, adrenals, I'm done over here. I'm not going to be sending the brain any more signals to make hormones. I'm going to start winding down probably for like the next 10 years. I'm just going to slowly back away from this primary job that I've been doing since the day of puberty. And guess what, adrenals? It's your turn. You need to kick it into high gear, and you need to start making these sex hormones and making them in a big way. And you know what your adrenal glands are saying? Your adrenal glands are like, what are you talking about? I've been over here like helping deal with all the crises that have been at hand. I can't step it up and make more sex hormones. And so what ends up suffering is that as you move along your 40s, if you don't nourish those adrenal glands, if you don't give them some rest and recovery, then your sex hormones will tank. Or you could even think of it like this: the roller coaster that your sex hormones are on get amplified. So when we're looking at a woman over 40, the number one thing she has to prioritize is stress. Now, if you're like me, you might be like, oh, great. Like, how many times have I tried to get stress under control and I have not succeeded? Put in the comments. I'm with you. Like, I am a rushing woman. Even at 54, I'm still trying to figure out rest and recovery. But what I wish I could go back and tell my 40-year-old self was that if you don't give those adrenals a chance to recuperate after a stressful event, then they cannot make you sex hormones. And when they can't make you sex hormones, then you're not going to have enough energy so that your skin can be moist and so your brain can work right from estrogen, and your hair can be whatever it needs to be, curly if it's curly. Estrogen does that. So your hormones can't, and progesterone can't calm you because the adrenals are working too hard. So after 40, your lifestyle tools have to change. And there are 3 things I want you to think about. So, and it's all under this idea of more rest. So here we go, and supporting the adrenal glands. Okay, first thing, you have to prioritize sleep. Okay, if you're like me, again, in my 40s, I was like, I'd love to prioritize sleep. I just can't sleep. Well, that's largely because progesterone is going down. So if you can't sleep, and you're in your 40s or beyond and you still can't sleep, I want to give you some interesting thoughts on how you can master sleep. For starters, in the menopause reset, I put a whole chapter in. When we put this book out into the world, I put a whole chapter just on sleep. So you can go and get that book. It's called Effortless Sleeping, and I'll even tell you the chapter. It's the bonus chapter in the back on all my sleep hacks. But the challenge for menopausal women or perimenopausal women is that because you're losing progesterone is that sex hormone that helps you sleep. So let's make sure we're doing many of those sleep hacks that are in the menopause reset. And part of prioritizing sleep is literally what that means, is like knowing you need to go into bed at a certain time. And for the perimenopause and menopausal woman, it might be that it takes you several hours to wind down. So I can tell you throughout my whole perimenopausal years, I had a couple rules around sleep and going to sleep. Like, I didn't watch the news before I went to sleep. I didn't engage in stressful conversations before I went to sleep. I made sure I ate my dinner a couple hours before I went to sleep. I made sure I went for a walk at sunset, so I started to calm the cortisol system before I go to sleep. Many of these I wrote about in the menopause reset. But sleep at 45 is way more crucial than 35 and 25. You might have been able to get away with no sleep at 35 and 25, but your adrenals need that sleep for rest and repair. So at 45, if you don't sleep and give your adrenal glands that nourishment and repair and reset that it needs, then your sex hormones are going to start to really tank. Okay, so that's the first one. Here's my favorite one. Ready for this? It's such a good one. Nobody's talking about this. Prioritize number 2. The second thing you need to prioritize after 40 so that your adrenals can do the job of making sex hormones for you is you need to prioritize your bestie. I'm not joking. You know that best friend you have? You know that group of women that you love going out with, and you laugh and you feel connection and you feel your heart like coming together with another heart? Whoever makes you happy, if it's your bestie, if it's somebody that you see at the gym, whoever puts a smile on your face, hang out with them more. I always tell an interesting story to my Reset Academy members. I always say that I remember a time in my 40s when one of my best friends and I were trying to find a time to get together for coffee. And it took us months to finally prioritize it. And when we finally got together, we did this little game. Tell me if you do this. We did this little game where I was like, I'm so sorry. It took me so long to get this on my calendar. I've been so busy. And she was like, yeah, I know. I've been so busy. And we sat there for the first 20 minutes and talking about how busy we were, and then talking about our menopausal symptoms. And finally, I was like, time out, friend. I have to really be clear right now. I'm thinking as we're talking that actually I just didn't prioritize our friendship, and our friendship means so much to me, and I should have prioritized it. In a world where we walk around with like work as a badge of honor, or parenting, like, oh, the kids are so much, or work is so much, we stop prioritizing our best friend. We stop prioritizing connections that matter. And after 40, they matter even more than in our 20s and 30s. So my second tip for you is prioritize your bestie. Go, in fact, after this call, go text her, call her, tell her how much you love her, because you need more time with her so you can calm your perimenopausal body down. It seems so simple, but yet we aren't doing it. So connections, environments. Another thing I keep telling my Reset Academy is that your hormones will always respond to the environments you put them in. So if you keep putting your body and your mind in stressful environment after stressful environment, eventually what's going to happen is your hormones are going to be like, hey, it's not very safe to be out. We don't feel like we can come out. And the adrenals are going to be like, hey, I've been over here really trying to handle the stress loads and the environments you've been putting yourself in. So after 40, let's start looking for all the positive places we can put ourselves, all the loving, nurturing environments we can put ourselves in. They absolutely matter for your hormones. The adrenals will thank you. They'll be able to make you more hormones and your health will flourish. I promise you. Okay, and if those of you who've been doing this, put it in the comments. Okay, number 3, I got another book for you. It's called Eat Like a Girl. You will now know for your feminine body how to metabolically switch. I hope it helps. This is one I keep saying over and over again, and I will shout it from the rooftops. And I will tell you at 54 years old, after I've been through the perimenopausal experience, I wish I could go back and tell my 40-year-old self this. And it's, we have to prioritize rest and recovery. So 3 of these tips, I'm going to go into this one here in a minute. If you're like, oh, I don't know how to prioritize rest. Believe me, I've spent the last 14 years figuring this out. So we are going to prioritize sleep, we're going to prioritize our bestie, and we're going to prioritize rest and recovery. The female body needs more recovery than the male body, and that's largely because of this hormone called progesterone, and you're losing it at 35. So by the time you hit your middle 40s, progesterone's like the lowest it's ever been, and progesterone brings with her GABA. So if you're finding that you are incredibly irritable, which is the #1 symptom of perimenopause, then I really want to ask yourself, how much rest and recovery are you getting? What's happening to a lot of women when they get into their 40s is they're like, start to get that menopausal belly weight, and they're like, I'm going to double down on the gym. I'm going to double down on weightlifting. My dear friend, Dr. Stephanie Estima calls it cardio bunnies. All the cardio bunnies are like, I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm going to do more, because what worked for me at 30 isn't working for me at 40. And the reason it's not working is because rest and recovery is what your body's asking for. So it seems like it wouldn't make sense. Like, oh, wait, I'm anxious. I can't sleep, I'm not losing weight, and you're telling me I need to go hang out with my best friend, and I need to sit on the couch more, and I need to go to bed earlier? Yep, that's what I'm telling you. Literally, those are the answers. And in a world where somebody wants to tell you that all the answers for your menopausal belly fat is to eat a certain specific way, or all your answers for the anxiety that you're experiencing is put a HRT patch on, or all the answers for your suffering comes in what we call an exogenous source, something that you take from the outside in. I'm here to tell you, if I could be the spokesperson for your body is saying, just rest me. Please, I've been doing a lot of work. I'm trying to give the adrenal glands just a little bit of a break so they can not have to make as much cortisol, so that I can make these sex hormones. And when you sleep, oh my God, when you sleep, my brain starts to detox so that you can actually get rid of that brain fog and you can think clearly. And when you hang out with your best friend, you raise oxytocin. And you know what oxytocin does? It literally makes you more insulin sensitive. What if the answer to you losing weight is just more time with your best friend, sitting on the couch, watching your favorite movie, eating good food? I'm not telling you can't eat good, just go off the rails on food. But what if the answer to every menopausal problem is time with your bestie on the couch, watching a comedy, laughing? Like, we don't look at that as the possible hero for menopausal health. So when I look at women learning something too late, you know what they learned too late? Is the power of connection, even though we innately know it, is the power of rest, even though we want to, we just keep pushing through it, and the power of just, when all else fails, put your head on the pillow and sleep and see how you feel in the morning. That's what women over 40 need to learn. So all my women over 40, put in the comments if you've noticed this, because I can tell you it took me till 54 to master this, and I'm still trying to master it. But I am at least acutely aware that when I don't get time with my bestie, when I don't prioritize sleep, and when I don't rest and recover, you don't want to hang out with me. I'm not the nicest human, and I don't feel so great in my body. So let's take those 3 things and start to implement them after 40. I promise you, you will discover the miracle that you are. Okay, where are my gals that are struggling with hormonal imbalance? Bloated, feeling like you're not making progress with weight loss? You need to add these foods in so that you can support better hormonal health. There is a lifestyle that estrogen wants you to live, and there is a lifestyle that progesterone wants you to live.